things that are stopping you from growing your business. Hi, my fellow business survivors. You know that feeling, that weird feeling at 2 a.m. on a random Wednesday? You're wide awake, your heart is pounding, but you're not having like an existential crisis about death or God or the meaning of life. Oh no, that would be a luxury. You're lying there, staring at the ceiling, because you're mentally calculating how to reply a client's WhatsApp message without using the word no, because if you say no, they might not pay you the money that they already owe you from 3 months ago. Now that is the national anthem of a Kenyan business owner. Welcome. My name is Miss Mithati, and today we're going to talk about the unofficial sport that is killing this country's economy slowly. Professional self-destruction. We're going to be talking about simping. Okay. And no, I'm not talking about the guy who's sliding into people's DMs begging for a selfie. That's not business. I'm talking about business simping. The corporate kind. And it's a disease. And unfortunately, in Kenya, it's not a notifiable disease. The Ministry of Health is not tracking it. But I think they should. Because the mortality rate is higher than you think. Stay with me. Now, let me paint you a picture. You have a business. Maybe you're a baker. Maybe you're a graphic designer. Maybe you're a consultant, or maybe you just have a boutique. You meet a potential client. A big client. This is a big fish, okay? Someone from a big organization. And instantly, for whatever reason, your spine dissolves. It just turns to liquid. You start nodding before they finish the sentence. They say, we need this done by yesterday. And then you're there laughing, like a mumu, even though it's not funny. Because it's not funny. What do you mean it was supposed to be done yesterday and we're having this conversation today? Make it make sense. But anyway, hi Viru, let's continue. So you're there, standing next to this person, laughing. You're showing us all your molars and premolars. And you're responding, sure boss, anything. Okay, I'm not Assistant Jesus. I'm not allowed to even judge you. Okay, I'll judge you internally, but I'll leave everything else to God. Moving on. You quote them a price, a fair price. This is a price that pays for your rent, pays for your staff, and leaves you enough that is, you can be able to buy a nice mbuzi for the weekend. So they look at the quote that you've given them. They don't look at the scope of work. They just look at the bottom line and they say, that iconic line. By the way, that line should be in our national coat of arms. Anyway, then they lean back. They suck air through their teeth. And they go, Eish, tunaongea kwa ground. I thought we ni mtu wangu. I thought we were partners. I thought this was a relationship. And you know what you do? You don't walk away. Remember, your spine is in liquid form. You can't even compose yourself. You don't walk away. You don't defend yourself. You don't say, my rate is my rate. You say, okay, for you, I'll adjust a few things. And for the sake of this relationship, because you believe you have a relationship, when in reality there's nothing, you say, I will cut it by half. I will also throw in my firstborn child and a lifetime support of free versions. My dear Kai, congratulations. You have just simped. You are the king of simps or you are the queen of simps. And I don't care. It is what it is. And there's many of you out here. I am guilty at some point I've ever simped in business. But I learned my lesson. It cost me. So I will never be cheap. Okay? So now, so you've agreed. You've become a simp. You're now in a relationship where you do all the giving and they'll be doing all the taking. It's domestic violence, but with invoices. I sometimes consult for small businesses, and I see this every single day. I walk into an office, I see a man or a woman who looks like they haven't slept for a whole week. Their eyes are bloodshot. Their desk is covered with empty coffee mugs. And I ask them, habari ya biashara, busy kwaje? And most of them say or respond the same way. They force a smile and say, God is good, I'm busy. And I look at them and I think, being busy is not the flex that you think it is. Because I don't mean to be rude. A toilet is busy. It works all day, every day, dealing with massive amounts of. But at the end of the day, is the toilet rich? No. It's just flushed and tired. If you give it a mic to speak. Anyway, now that's you. You simp, you become the toilet for Kenya economy. You'll be working non-stop, taking everyone's crap and getting nothing but wear and tear in return. Let me tell you about my friend. She's called Shiku. Shiku runs a catering business. Amazing food. Seriously, her mokimo will make you see God. One day she gets a phone call from an old high school friend who now works with a big NGO. The friend says, Majiko, we have a workshop, 200 people for 5 days, and you get the contract. Shiko is ecstatic. She prints the invoice. She prices everything perfectly. Then she sends it. The friend calls back. Majiko, the budget is tight. The procurement department is saying that we have to go with someone else. And I hope you unajua hii yote ni Kiswahili. This is how do you say that in English? This is just English. Okay? So they're saying this budget is high. But me, your friend, I fought for you. I told them you're my sister. So can you do it for 40% less? Also, as I was looking at the invoice, can you also include like breakfast spread? Also, can you also be able to deliver to a different venue because they changed the venue? It's for the relationship. Wajiko. Instead of her saying that that's not my problem, she says, of course, for you, anything. Because, who is Wajiko? She's queen of simping. Sasa. So what does Shiko do? She does the job. She works 20-hour days. Her actual staff is stressed. It goes to an extent where she uses her own personal savings to cover the shortfall because the client, this NGO, is paying next month. 5 days end, the workshop ends. The client loves the food. Big praise. Very nice photos on LinkedIn. Hashtag, or is it a quote unquote, thanks to our very wonderful vendor. Then after that 1 week, the payment doesn't come. 30 days pass, 60 days pass, 90 days pass. Shiko decides to call her friend. The friend replies, Shiko, you know how NGOs are. How are they? But anyway, that's me. That's what I would ask. But Shiko doesn't argue. So she's told to understand that's how NGOs work. And the funds are coming from Geneva. It's in the system. Just be a little bit more patient and don't stress. Now, Shiko is clinically stressed. She has a very beautiful catering business and she is broke. She has a certificate of good performance, but her bank account is screaming in agony. Why? She simped. She confused customer service with professional martyrdom. A very expensive mistake. And we are out here calling this hustling. Anyway, let me postpone my disappointment. I'll do more of the disappointment after I finish this video. We are out here calling this paying your dues. It's so sad that we glorify it. We have turned customer is king into customer is a divine monarch with absolute power of life and death over my business. We have gotten to a point where we've forgotten that that customer is just a person who needs a service or product, and you are the other person who's providing it. You forget it's a transaction, not a blood oath. But even if it's a blood oath, let's all bleed. Why am I bleeding alone? But that's a question for another day. But do you know who the real villain is here? Besides the client, it's us, the business people. It's the business people who do business without a contract. You Sims are out here running multi-million shilling projects based on a WhatsApp text. A WhatsApp text that has a lot of emojis. It's and the handshake, whatever. And the handshake emojis. You get into a meeting with a corporation. You agree to a deal and you shake hands. And you think that handshake is worth the paper it's printed on. Meanwhile, their legal team is drafting a 50-page document to protect them. Maybe it's even to protect them from you. And you're standing there like a mumu with a sweaty palm and a prayer. Nani, who bewitched you? We need to find this person. But nowadays I hear you some problems. You try to solve them and you realize the person who bewitched them died. So they can only live with that problem until they die, like for till eternity. You know, I had a client who once told me, Koi, I don't want to use a contract. It feels like we don't trust each other. I looked at him and said, my friend, I don't even trust myself. So that means I definitely don't trust you. So just sign the paper. Anyway, let's talk about what happens to the Sims, the business Sims. They die slowly. They die the death of 1,000 cats. Every free revision is a tiny stab wound. Every, can you add just this small thing, is a loss of blood. Every late payment is a heart attack. And then one day, they close shop. They go back to looking for a job. And they sit at home, bitter, wondering what went wrong. Problem is, that client just finds another simp. And the cycle continues. That's the darkest joke of all in business. The client that you were simping for, they don't respect you. They surely don't respect your business. And most of all, they don't see a partner. All they see is a doormat with a pulse. They know you will say yes. And they will keep asking for more, you know. They will suck you dry until you break. Because that's what people do with doormats. They use them. They wipe their feet on them. Okay? Now, how do you stop the bleeding? How do you stop being the toilet? How do you stop simping? It's really simple. You write a contract. You define the scope. You charge what you're worth. And when a client says, can you do it for less? You have the audacity to look them in the eye. You smile, the smile of someone who has seen the abyss. And you say this, sure, I can do less for less money, but the relationship rate expired. This is the new price. Take it or leave it. If they leave, guy, let them go. Never few. Sasa. Let them go find someone else they can drain. And this is because your business is not a vampire rehabilitation center. You are not a life support machine for their projects. No. You are a business. So act like it. Or you can keep simping. And while at it, keep the 2 a.m. heart attacks. Keep the glory of being busy. Keep polishing that Customer of the Year award while your bank account weeps. The choice, my fellow survivors, is yours. I'm Miss Muidhavi. Cheers. Now go get that contract. See you in my next video.